What's going on, everyone? This is Lior with Compass out of Boston, and in this video we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of living in one of Boston's greenest neighborhoods, Jamaica Plain. So let's get at it. What's going on, everyone? My name's Lior, and as I said, I'm with Compass out of Boston, and in this video I'm going to be diving deep into some of my pros and cons of living in Jamaica Plain, an awesome neighborhood within Boston. Now, before we get into that, two quick things. Number one, if this is your first time on my channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton, helps me put out more content for you guys so you guys can keep learning about what it's like to live in Boston, tips on buying, selling, investing, and so much more. And number two, guys, if you guys are thinking about doing anything with real estate around the Boston area, whether it's Boston, the burbs, anywhere within 15, 20 miles, I mean, we go everywhere. If you guys are thinking about doing anything with buying and selling, hit me up. I get so many calls from you guys watching my videos, and it's seriously insane. Every single time it happens to me, I'm still blown away, and I still absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about doing anything, hit me up, and I will help you out. So let's dive right into it, and I'm going to start with the pros, my pros of living in Jamaica Plain, and then we'll finish with a couple of the cons. There's not that many, to be honest with you. So let's dive right into pro number one. And pro number one, I already kind of said it, is Jamaica Plain is considered to be one of Boston's greenest neighborhoods, and that's really cemented by the Emerald Necklace, right? And basically what that is, it's a string of parks that was designed by Frederick Olmsted. And it's got just some absolutely amazing landmarks. So you start out with, there's a Jamaica Pond, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's about 1.5 miles in circumference or so. So if you go there in the summer, I mean, you have people walking, running, biking. It's gorgeous. You can take up boats on the water. The homes right on front are stunning. It is just absolutely beautiful. You've also got Leverett Pond, which is pretty close by. Then you've got probably one of the crown jewels, the Arnold Arboretum, right? So it's basically a public-private partnership. So today, Harvard University operates it, but it is, it's open to the public year-round, every day, I believe. And it's got 1.3 million plants spread over 280 acres. So if you need a good place to just get away from the bustling city into just somewhere peaceful, quiet, in the nature, it's literally right in Boston. It is absolutely stunning, especially in the spring, summer, fall, when it's not freezing outside. It's an amazing walk to just go through and just relax. And you also do have Franklin Park Zoo, which is right on the border of JP and Dorchester. It's got a golf course on one side, then the zoo is on the other side. Zoo is also really cool. It is open year-round, has over 160 species of animals. So as you can see, like ton of different options for outdoor activity, outdoor space in Jamaica Plain. Everything, it's super unique to Boston. It just doesn't, you don't really get that in any other neighborhood. Pro number two, and this is very, especially if you're very particular about shopping in independent businesses or small businesses rather than chains, Jamaica Plain is literally known for having just a ton of very crafty, small, independent shops, restaurants, businesses, especially as you walk on Center Street. Versus the rest of Boston, which you might be a little bit more commercial and you'll get a lot more chains. So I can give you guys some examples. For coffee shops, you have shops like Espresso Yourself. You also, even though it's not technically coffee, I put it together with ice cream. You do have the original JP Licks as well in Jamaica Plain on Center Street. For restaurants, you have really unique options like the Frogmore, Casa Verde, and Wonder Spice Cafe, which is kind of a combination of Thai and Cambodian food. So you can see just like very, very unique shops and restaurants that you might not necessarily find in other parts of Boston. And this also applies beyond just food, right? You do have very quirky independent stores as well that you can find. For example, you can find stores like On Center, which is like a small independently owned gift shop. So if you're looking for like a very quirky gift, that's a great place to go. You can find shops like Boomerang, which sells like vintage, secondhand vintage clothing and other sorts of items. And some of their profits do go to support different AIDS organizations. So again, you can see that just like with restaurants and cafes and coffee shops, you'll find a bunch of very different independent stores all along Jamaica Plain, which just makes it super, super unique. Pro number three about living in Jamaica Plain is it's got a real strong sense of diversity and a real strong sense of community within the neighborhood. Today, if you walk around the streets of JP, it's going to be super self-evident as compared to walking around, different neighborhoods closer to Boston, or even other Boston neighborhoods. You have a lot of different people living there. You have students, you have younger professionals, you have families, you have a lot of creative folks. You have a lot of people that lived in Jamaica Plain all their lives. And it's really just an amazing place to see that's just completely different energy, completely different vibe than other neighborhoods around Boston. And finally, pro number 4, the transportation options there are really, really good in Jamaica Plain. Plus it's super convenient. It's super conveniently located. So you are right in Jamaica Plain. You can get very quickly to Boston neighborhoods like the Fenway. Kenmore is really close by. You're also super close on Brookline on the other side. So if you ever needed to go to Brookline, it's really convenient. But transportation really is amazing in Jamaica Plain. You do have both the Green Line and Orange Line for MBTA going through JP. So the Green Line, you have like the Heath Street stop, which is pretty close by to the Longwood area. And then on the other side of JP, the east side of JP, you have the Orange Line. So you've got a number of stops like Forest Hills, Stony Brook, Green Street, etc. Right? So that Orange Line also will take you right into downtown. So whether you live on the east part of JP, or if you live on the other side, on like the western side of JP, where you can still find really good transportation options on both sides. Now, in terms of cons, like I said, I don't have a ton of cons. I'd say con number 1 of JP, which is pretty similar to the rest of Boston, is JP has experienced massive growth over the last 5-10 years. I mean, there's been a ton of construction as people have decided to move into the neighborhood. So that's led to obviously a cost of living increase, right? Real estate prices are very expensive, as well as just other general cost of living has gone up. Plus, you are going to see quite a bit of construction throughout Jamaica Plain. It's just kind of the nature of living within the city. That's not going to be totally different than other neighborhoods in Boston, but it is something you need to be aware of. And con number 2 that I would mention, again, not necessarily a con, but you just need to be aware that, it is still a little bit, JP is still a little bit pocketed. And what I mean is, some neighborhoods are still nicer than the other ones. So for example, anything closer to the ponds on the west side, right, where Jamaica Pond is, where you have the Arboretum, that whole area is considered, very desirable and really nice. As you go east towards Dorchester and you hit areas like Forest Hill, Hyde Square, those areas tend to be a little bit, they're still kind of in development, if you will. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but just something to keep in mind, that the neighborhoods can be a little pocketed. It's not all exactly the same within the area. So that's really it. I mean, there's really not a ton of other major cons with Jamaica Plain. So you can see a really amazing neighborhood, ton of green space. If you're all about the independent small shops, you're gonna find it in JP. Super convenient to live there. So overall, just an amazing place to live. So hopefully that helps, guys. If you guys have any questions, any comments, just shoot them below.